One of the things that all of the speeches had in common was this whole concept of dreams, right? When I taught ninth grade English, and I taught that for 35 years, one of the things I used to always have the kids do was think about dreams that they had, to make a list of their dreams. And then sometimes I'd pick 2 or 3 people and they'd come up to the podium and they would share a dream that they had. And we had a girl, her name was Jamie. She was in ninth grade. She came up, she volunteered to go first, and she said, Mr. Ricky, my dream, and she said to the class, is to be a princess at Disney World. Right? And when she said it, everybody cracked up, they laughed, ha ha ha, princess at Disney World. Right? So Jamie went on, finished Garnet Valley High School, went to college. I don't even remember where she went. Didn't really keep in contact with her. Right? A couple years after she got out of college, I got an envelope down in the mailroom. I bring down this big manila envelope, rip it open, put it on my desk, and out come all these brochures. Disney MGM Studios. Here's Jamie right here, Princess Jasmine in Disney World. Right? 5 years she served as Princess Jasmine in Disney World. The dream that she had when she was a little girl became a reality. In my old room, I had these pictures all over the place. And when I moved here, I had to take them down, but this was one of the pictures that I had up there. My father-in-law, Frank Ciccarelli, came to this country when he was 19 years old from Italy. The reason he came to this country, because when he was a little boy during World War II, in the town that he lived in, Taranto, was a naval port city for the Italian Navy, would get bombed. And when it would get bombed, sirens would go off, and everybody would run to the bomb shelters. And when he was 8 years old, bombs were coming in, running to a bomb shelter, and the bomb exploded before he got to the bomb shelter. To this day, he's 82 years old now. He still has a piece of shrapnel in his leg that he incurred during that time. The American soldiers came and overtook his town, and they were so good to him, so nice to him and his friends, that he decided when he was 8 years old that he was going to come to this country. So at age 19, the only person he knew here was his father, who had come before him. He got on a boat and made a journey to the United States. He gets to the United States, goes through Ellis Island, right, and ends up in Lansing, Michigan, because that's where his father was. He got a job at Michigan State University in the maintenance department. He learned how to speak English from a bunch of Mexicans, right? And after he did that job for a little while, he wasn't making enough money, so he got a second job. He got a job at a grocery store. While he was there, he met his wife. They got married, and he decided that he needed to go out on his own. But he couldn't afford to have his own store, which is what he wanted, and a house. So he bought a store, right, and he fixed it up. It's a convenience store. It's kind of like a Wawa or 7-Eleven. In Michigan, they call them party stores. And so that he could have it, he built an apartment onto the store. And when my wife was born, she was the oldest of 3. He, his wife, and my wife, their daughter, lived in that apartment connected to the store. For 9 straight years, 365 days a year, my father-in-law never missed a day of work, because he knew the only way to make that store go was for him to do it. There was nobody there to help him. Imagine that, 9 straight years. We're worried about the fact that we have to go from the end of January to April without a day off. Right? And we have weekends. He worked every single day for 9 years to make that store go. And not only did the store go, he did so well that he was able to buy another store. Right? In a neighboring town. Tragedy struck my father-in-law's family when their youngest son, Patrick, was killed in a car accident. 18 years old. He and his buddies were driving to Florida during spring break from Michigan. They were taking turns. They wanted to drive all in one trip. And Patrick's turn to drive was in the middle of the night. He came to an intersection. He fell asleep and drifted in an intersection, was hit and killed. For the next year, my father-in-law's best friend, a guy named Bob Rossborough, he took my father-in-law with him every day to work. He was a carpenter. He was also an NHL hockey player. But back then, NHL hockey players didn't make any money. He took my father-in-law with him to work every day. When they went to work, they built a little strip mall on 5 stores on land that my father-in-law owned. Those 5 stores are still there to this day. My father-in-law, who came to this country with no money, without the ability to speak English, is a millionaire. He's a self-made millionaire. A little boy who at 8 years old had a dream to come to this country. When people start to complain about this country, my father-in-law, he loses his mind, because he knows that if you have a dream and you're willing to put in the time and you're willing to make sacrifice, any dream can become a reality. My wife is a dentist. When my wife was in 5th grade, for some reason, unbeknownst to anybody who knows, she decided that she wanted to be a dentist. Right? She just was infatuated with the idea of helping people fix their teeth. So she went to school. The high school that my wife went to, Charlotte High School, was a farm school. Only 3 kids in her entire class took their SATs. Think about that. Only 3 of the entire grade. All the other kids went on to become farmers. So my wife's senior year in high school, she and these other 2 kids had already exhausted the school's entire curriculum. There were no classes left for them to take. So for her senior year, the 3 or 4 of them, I forget if it's 3 or 4 now, they sat in the back of the room at a table. They had curriculum mailed in, and they taught themselves. Right? So then she goes to the University of Michigan. She lived in Michigan. She went to the University of Michigan. When she got there the first night, she called her dad in tears because her roommates were talking about all these AP courses that they took when they were in high school. She never even heard of an AP course. I don't even know what that is. She told her father. And he said, honey, you just work hard. You've always worked hard. You just continue to work hard. So she worked and she worked and she worked. Her dream was to go to dental school. She finished her undergraduate requirements in 3 years and did so well that she went to the president of the university and she said, hey, I finished all this stuff. Can I just skip my senior year and go right into dental school? She was the first person in the history of the University of Michigan to do that after 3 years. She was one of very few women in her class, but she graduated with honors, did exceptionally well, and now she has her own dental practice. Little girl who 5 years old had a dream, and she made the dream become a reality. Right? She didn't just wait for it to happen. My father-in-law didn't just wait for it to happen. Jamie didn't just wait for it to happen. They took measures, they took steps to make it happen. And finally, the last thing I want to tell you is something that I found. When I first became the football coach here at Garnet Valley in 1986, I was 23 years old. The Garnet Valley that you know now is very different than the Garnet Valley that was here then. We were the smallest AA school in the state of Pennsylvania, and our football team was okay, but we weren't very good. In fact, in the early 90s, I could tell you every reason why Garnet Valley was never going to be a very good football team. And then one day, one of the players on my team, his parents were out of town, and I was kind of looking out for him, and he needed to get his hair cut, so I took him to a barber shop. I was sitting in a barber shop, and I read a magazine article called The I Can't Funeral. And the I Can't Funeral was about this woman who started a program out in the Midwest where she was trying to raise the self-esteem of students in elementary school classrooms. So she picked 25 different teachers from 25 different school districts, and they were going to incorporate this curriculum into their classroom, 5th graders, to help make them feel better about themselves. And the woman who was overseeing the program, she was going to travel around to the different schools, right? And she was going to see and make sure that this was working. The first teacher she went to see was the oldest teacher in the group. And the lady who was supervising this whole thing was worried about this woman because she thought she was too old to make change. This lady was getting ready to retire. When she went to her classroom, she walked in unannounced, and all the 5th graders in the room were writing down on a piece of paper all the things they couldn't do. I can't do long division. I can't kick the ball over the fence. I can't. And the woman was furious. Here you're supposed to be raising self-esteem. Why are we focusing on all the things we can't do? Right? So she was trying to figure out what she was going to say to this woman. She walked around. She walked up to the teacher's desk, and the teacher was doing the same thing. I can't get my daughter to put gas in the car. I can't get Billy and Tommy to stop fighting. I can't get Sarah's mom to call me back. I can't. And the woman was just enraged. And then the teacher said, all right, boys and girls, you have 2 more minutes to finish up. Then I want you to bring your papers up here. I want you to put them in this box on my desk. So they did, one by one. They brought the papers up. They put them in a box. And she said, come with me. She walked out of the classroom. She walked down the hall. She stopped at the janitor's closet, picked up a shovel. They went out in the recess yard, all the way to the furthest corner of the recess yard. And they dug a hole, and they put the box in. They covered it up. She said, boys and girls, I can't is dead. You're not allowed to say it. You're not allowed to use it. I don't ever want to hear the words I can't come out of your mouth. And she did a little eulogy for I can't. And they came back to the classroom. They made a big banner, rest in peace, I can't. And they had a little wake. Right? The supervisor was amazed. You know, here she was getting these people. So when I read that, it hit me hard. Because even though you guys know I'm a very positive guy, in 1992 or 1993, 1994, I could tell you every reason why Garnet Valley football was never going to be able to be any good. We didn't have the facilities. We didn't have enough kids. We didn't have enough athletes. I could go on and tell you. Right? So when I read that, I contacted the coaches. Then I had 4 guys on my staff. Now I have 18. And I invited them to my house for dinner. And when they came to my house, I said, I want you to bring with you a vision of what you have for the Garnet Valley football program. What's your dream for Garnet Valley football? So we ate dinner. We sat down. I said, all right, first coach, what do you got? He said, well, we're not even in a league. My dream is for us to be in a league and then to successfully compete in that league. Next guy. Well, the Daily Times ranks the Super 7. We've never been ranked in the top 7 in the Daily Times. My dream is for us to be ranked in the top 7 in the Daily Times Super 7. Next guy. Well, you know, we've never had consistent winning programs. We're 500, 6-4. I'd like to be consistent. Then I pull mine out. I said I'd like to play for a state championship. Now these guys were my best friends at the time. They laughed in my face, flat out. Coach, are you insane? Did you hit your head? We're not even the best team. If you look at the teams around here, Sun Valley, better than we are. Chi, better than we are. Pencrest, better than we are. Unionville, better than we are. We're not. If you just took the 5 teams around here, we're 5th. And you want to play for a state championship? And then I made them read that story about the I Can't funeral. And then we sat down in my kitchen, and we took out big pieces of poster paper, and we made a list of all the things that we would have to do in order for us to play for a state championship. And then I came to school the next day. I was on a Sunday night, and I got all the seniors on our team, and I shared with them what we wanted to do. And they added to the list. That was in 1994. In 2007, we played for a state championship. And when we played for that state championship, it was one of the coolest experiences in my life. What was so cool about it was the entire Garnet Valley community got involved. When we played at Hershey, they said we had more fans at Hershey than anybody who ever played a state championship game at Hershey. But my very favorite thing about the whole night, so you have to picture this. It's Hershey Stadium. It's cold. It's in December. Right? On the field before the game, I'm getting interviewed by all these different TV stations. Oh, I got Channel 6, Channel 17, PCN. I walk off the field, I walk to the sideline, and the fans are packed. It's huge if you've ever been up there. And I hear, yo, coach! And I look up, and there's one of our players who was a senior in 1994. He lived in California. He flew in for the game. Yo, coach! There's another kid from 1994. This is 13 years later. These guys are in their 30s now. He flew up from Texas. Another guy came up from North Carolina. They were there in the room when we had the vision, when we allowed the dream to happen, and they wanted to be there when the dream became a reality. Dreams are really powerful things. And what we're going to do next is we're going to start to think about your dreams and think about what you want to do. And when we do that, I don't want you to be inhibited by money or time. I want you to unabashedly dream of things that you would love to do someday. And that's what we're going to do on Friday. All right? Thank you.